Okay, so that's your down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. So we're gonna start with the G. We're gonna have this C chord, but we're gonna keep this 3 down here in the bottom. So we got. So I move that 2 from the big string down to the 3rd string, and that creates like a D minor 7 suspended kind of a chord. So we got G again, we got 3 and 4 and. Bringing in the C, bringing that 1 down, do it again, C, D minor type thing. So there's a weird thing there, there's an extra like half a beat that happens there. So it's strange to count that. It's like a 3 and 4 and. We'll do the intro again. Think of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that kind of thing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. So that's the tricky part there, is you got to play that kind of 1 and of a new measure, and that becomes your new 1 of starting everything over again for the verse. So it's a tricky little thing they did in there. So one more time, we got 3 and 4 and. Bring in that C, take it down. One and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. So here we go, verse, G twice, then G 2 beats, D 2 beats, C 2 beats. So let's look at that from the verse without that tricky part. So 3 and 4 and. We got G twice, then we got G to the D to the C, then we got G and D and C to G. Okay, so let's look at all that again. We had G, full measure, and that was the down, down, up, down, up. That's one measure. So we had 2 measures of G, and then we went G to the D to the C, and then we went back to 4 beats each, full measure each. So that G to D was a split measure between the 2 there. So once again on the verse, 3 and 4 and. G to the D to the C, G, D, and C to G. Now we're going E minor twice, C to G. Now we're going A minor to C, 3 and 4 and. To the C, E minor twice. Okay, so let's do that whole line from the E minor twice. So we had E minor twice, C to G, and then A minor, C, E minor twice. So E minor to start, 3 and 4 and. Now C to G, A minor to C, E minor twice. Now we got C to G twice. Again. Now we got A minor to C. And we got G 4 times. 2, 3, 4. Okay, now the next verse is about the same. There's one little difference. We'll talk about it when we get there. So starting on G again, 2 bars of G, and we got that G to D to C and on and on. So 3 and 4 and. Now we got the G to D, C, and then G, D, C to G. Now this time we got E minor to D. Here goes D, C to G. Then we got A minor to C, E minor twice. Now we got C to G twice. A minor C, G twice. So the only difference in that verse was it went from that E minor to a D instead of doing 2 E minors. Okay, so now we're at the solo section. It starts out like a verse. So we got our G, 3 and 4 and. Then we got G to D, C, G, D, C to G. Now we got 2 E minors, C to G, A minor C, 2 E minors. Okay, so that was the guitar solo. Now we're back into a new verse. Now this one's going to be a little different because when we do our G to D, we're going to go to an A minor instead of a C. So watch out for that one. So 2 G's to start off again, 3 and 4 and G, G, then G to D to A minor after this, and then G, back to D, and C to G. Now we got 2 E minors, C to G, we got our A minor C, 2 E minors. Now here we have some upbeats. Then it kind of gets back normal. Okay, so coming from those E minors at the end of that last line, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, so we hit on the and of the 4, so a little bit before the normal C measure. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and to the G. G's on the downbeat, but then this next C is also on the upbeat of that 4. So let's do that whole section. So from the 2 E minors, the C, the G, A minor C, 2 E minors into this upbeat thing. So 3 and 4 and. Now we got C to G, A minor C, 2 E minors, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 4 and 1. Then we got A minor C. Now here, we also have an upbeat on that last G. So let's talk about the last E minor into all these upbeats. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then 1 and 1. The regular A minor C, 2, 3, 4 and on that G. We hold that one. Now we're to the outro. We got 2 C's, 2 G's. You can kind of get a little staccato in this one, make it a little more poppy. Take it E. Now here we're gonna have an F9. Here's kind of the final couple turnarounds. We got the G, and we have the F chord, 3, 2, 1, but we're gonna keep that pinky down there, and that 3 becomes the F9. So then we got C twice, G again, F9 again. We got C, end on E minor. Okay, so let's look at all that again. One and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, we got E minors, C to G, A minor C, E minor twice, we got C, G twice, A minor C, G for 4, because right here we got a guitar riff. Okay, the next verse is just the same, like I said, except for the E minor goes to D. That's about it. We got our solo, which is about the same type of stuff. Then we got that third verse, which is going to be, does the G to D, A minor. So that's the only thing kind of different about that. And then we have, if we look at that last thing again, we're going into the upbeats. So we'll do 2 E minors into those upbeats with the C and stuff. So 3 and 4 and. 4 and A minor C, beat on this G. 1, 2, 3, outro, C, G. We'll do C again. Now this time we're going to one measure each, G to that F9. Then we got C for 2, G, F9, C for 2 again, and on an E minor, and all right, Take It Easy by the Eagles. Okay, so our first thing is we got the bottom 3 strings. We got open, open, and 7 on the bottom. To the 10, back to that little 7. So, and then the chord with the 12, 10, 7, 3. After that 12 with the chord. So, and then C chord. That's open 3, open on the small string there. After you do the little C chord. And then we have like a C minor chord, 5, 4, 3 down here, but we're gonna have a 5 on the bottom. Little leading melody thing there. So we got, and see how even though I'm strumming that as a chord, I'm making sure that the little one is kind of louder because that's the accent you want. That's the leading melody that you want to hear. And then one more note on that one, back to the top thing. Then we're going to come down to an E minor, 2 and opens, to the 3 on the second string, open. So we got, we might hit one more of those, a little bit of time before the Desperado thing hits. So then it starts out with the singing, Desperado. 2 strums each, G to G7, and then C to C minor, 5, 5, 4, 3. And then we're going to do this G shape like this. If you want to do this walking thing, this is how you do it. So that's like a G, 5, 4, 3, 3, like an F shape. Do that once and go to this D. It's like the 2, 3, 2 down here, but has that 4 on top. So that's D with the F sharp bass. So G, D with the F sharp bass, E minor 7 is 2, 0, 3 open. Do that twice, and then A7, 2, 0, 2 open, D7, 0, 2, 1, 2. So let's look at all that from the singing. So Desperado, G to G7, C to C minor. And then we got that walking thing. A7 to D7. Now, if you don't want to do all of this stuff, you could just go G and then put this 4 up in here with that G and maybe even mute that G string so you don't get a big tension right there. G, then with an F sharp bass, you still got that moving kind of thing. And if you don't want to do this E minor 7, you can just do E minor too. So a couple ways you could do that. Next line of singing, we got G to G7 again, C to C minor. Now this time we're going to have G to B7, 1, 2, 0, 2, E minor 7 again, twice, and then A7, D7 again. But that's going to be just once each, so A7, D7, G. 2 G's to that D with the F sharp bass. Okay, so let's look at everything we got so far. Desperado. A couple of different ways to do this. G to G7 again. C, C minor. This time G to B7 to E minor 7. Now our next part is going to be E minor to B minor, 4 4 3 2, and then C to G, E minor 7 to C, and then G to that D with the F sharp bass. And if you have trouble with that one, you can always just do a D and don't worry about that extra bass thing. So second part of this is E minor to B minor again, C to G, E minor, A7, and then A minor 7. We're going to go 2 0 1 3, and then D to D7. Desperado sets that up again. And you could go easy with this, just kind of G to E minor, not worry about that. So there's simpler ways and there's a little bit more moving ways. More stuff going on. C to C minor, G to B7, E minor 7, then once each on these, twice on these, back to E minor, B minor, C to G, E minor to C, G to D. So that could have that F sharp, but it's up to you. E minor to B minor, C to G, and then we got that A minor 7, D to D7, back to Desperado. G to G7 again. C to C minor, G to B7. Now we can have C to G to A minor 7. That's where it's kind of that answer back thing. Let somebody love you. And then A minor 7, D7, and then we're gonna have our outro. So let's look at that whole last little bit. Once we hit the G to G7 for the second time through on that kind of part. G, B7, E minor, and the answer to that is C to G to A minor 7, 2 0 1 3, and then you get the G, B7, E minor again, hold that one, then we're going to have that A minor 7, D7, and then we have the outro. So it's a little shorter than the intro. We have the 7 and 10 to 12, 10, 7, 3, and C chord, open 3, open to that little C minor, and then G. That's an E suspended fourth. When you put that 2 in the G string. So it's kind of like a down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. Might mix it up a little bit, here and there. Da, 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 dum, da, da, dum, da, da, da. Okay, that's the intro. Now on the intro, there's a little lead that goes. Over that E to E sus 4 times, right? So we slid into the 5th fret of the 2nd string, and then we get into this double stop thing. 2 and 2, G string and E string. Kind of go up into the 4 and 4. Get in the 6 and 5, and then we have a high note thing. 7 to 9 and back, 5 to 7 and back, twice. Then we're in the verse. So one more time with that little thing, there we go. E to A, 3 times in a row. Then we're going to B. And then back, do all that again. E to A 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. B chord. Now we're going to go, this is the chorus, we got the A. Twice as long to the E. A again. Now we're going to do so that was a B sus. B sus 4 back to the B chord. So that was 4, 4, and 5. I'm trying to mute the bottom one. To the 4, 4, 4 of the B. And if you're cool with this first finger down here in the 2, you could do that whole thing with that in there. B sus 4 to B. So that chorus was A to E, and then we got A to the B sus to B. Now we have E. Now we're gonna have a new one, F sharp minor, 4 and 2, 2, 2. A. I'm just gonna use these like top 3 strings for the A to B here. So that was E, F sharp minor, A, B, and then we're gonna do the E suspended 4th thing. So we do that twice. Then we're in the next verse. We got E to A 3 times. Going to B, and that B is twice as long. We do all that again. E to A 3 times. B twice as long. Chorus, we're going to the A. 2 long ones there, and then E. A again. Now we have that B sus to B. And we have the kind of walking up E, F sharp minor, A to B. You got your suspended thing again. Okay, now the guitar solo starts. We're gonna do the same stuff as a verse. So we're doing all the same changes. Going to B. Gotta do all that again. Going to B. Got those chorus chords. There's that suspended. And then those kind of walk up, F sharp minor. Okay, so coming out of that, we're gonna have the I think it's right there. You're gonna have this stop. It's the new verse, but you're gonna have stopped chords for the E and the A the first time. So it's kind of shocking coming out of that little change. They hit you with a, and then he sings. Then you resume on that second E to A, and then we're back in the same verse form. B. Do all that again. Again, going to long A for the chorus, E, A again, B sus to B, walk up, E to F sharp minor, A to B. We're going to just keep doing that. It's probably like 6 times or something like that. Okay, peaceful, easy feeling. So let's play along with some of that together. So we're going to look at the intro again. I'll do the solo for you one more time. It's like. Okay, then we're going to get into the verse. So let's play that together. 3, 4, E. We do that 3 times. Here we go, B. Do that all again. Going to A for the chorus. Sus to B, walk up, E to E sus, okay, pretty easy tune. Now if you wanted to look at a little bit of look at some notes where you could kind of jam along some of those solo sections we didn't do anything for. This is kind of a cool scale. It's like a major scale, but it would have like a flat 7 in it. Okay, so some fun notes there. We got like 7, 5, 4, 2, open, 3. You might avoid that note if it doesn't sound right in this tune, because this tune is so major-ish, you know. You wouldn't necessarily have that D note in there. But that's where you might kind of skip that note instead of having to make it very, very major. The major 7, that's the dominant 7, the blues note. Sometimes you just kind of avoid that one if neither one of them really feels right for your progression. So we'd have these notes. Okay, but if you wanted to add it, 0, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5, 7, and then you go to 9, 10, and 12, 14, 16, 17. All right, peaceful, easy feeling. Hope you all dug that. Talk to you soon. Normally it's a B minor chord that starts Hotel California, but here we're going to have a B minor 9, so it's going to be 7s with a 9 on the bottom string. Okay, then we're going to go to an A chord, and then an E minor chord, and then there's going to be a cool little fill thing. We got to wait a little while. We're going to go to an F sharp chord, 4, 3, 2, 2. So the first one is 7, 7, 7, 9. That's a B minor 9, and then an A chord, 7, 6, 5, 5, and then E minor 2, open, open, open. Like I say, we'll wait a while, and then we'll go F sharp chord, 4, 3, 2, 2. Okay, so let's get on into the solo. So first we're going to have the chord. We have a great little riff here with Joe Walsh. This is Joe Walsh and Don Felder going back and forth and trading off these killer solos on like classical nylon string acoustics. Okay, so we have 4 in the G string, and then we hit it again, hammer on pull off to the 6, slide down to that 3, so it's, and then 4, 6, 7, 9. So let's look at that again. We got, and the end of that is second string, 7, 7, 8, 7, hammer on, pull off, 9 to 11 on the G. So we got, okay, then we have the A chord, and here we're gonna have, so we do the A, then we have 2, 4 in the G, and then 3, 2 on the second string, big string 4 to 2 on the G, so it's 2, 4, 3, 2, 4, 2, hammer on, and then back to the 2 there, 2, 4, 2, slide the 4 to 2 on the D string, hammer on there. So once again, it's, then we go E minor. Now we're going to go really slow. 2, O, open, open. And then 4, 2, open, open. Then 5, 4, open, open. And then 9, 7, open, open. Okay, so that was E minor. Now we're going to come down here to the third string, 9, 8, and 7 on these bottom 3. We're going to go 9, 8, 7, pull off. And then 9, 8, pinky on the 10, pull off. And we're going to do that in succession and kind of speed it up as we go. So take it nice and slow. We got, when Joe Walsh is doing it, or maybe it's Don Felder. When he starts speeding up, the crowd goes crazy, of course. And then we're going to end that with, so we have that 9, 8, 7. We're going to do that little 7, kind of a rake down there to the 7. 7, 6, 7, 9, 10, 9, 10, 12, up to that 14. And that's where that F sharp chord would come in. So it's, okay, and then the drums come in, and then we're going to go through our second round of solo. It's going to be, okay, so there's going to be our notes. We got our 7, 7, 7, 9, and then 9 on the big one. 7, 8, 7 on the second string, 9 on the G, 2 7s, and 9 to 7. So it's, then we go 7 on the G, and then 9, 7 pull off, big 9 over there, and then hammer on or slide 7 to 9 on the big one. So it's, then we go A chord. We have this new riff. So this is 7 to 9 on the big string, kind of a hammer. And then 7, 6 on the G, big 9, couple 6s, 7 to 9. So it's, now we're going to go 6, 7, 9 on the G string to 8 on the second string. So 6, 7, 9, 8, and then 7 on the second string. Quick 8 to 10 hammer on to get to that little 7. So it's, then we have 9, and then triplet 10, 9, 10. So it's like 4 and go to the 12, slide it on down. Okay, so let's look at all this part again. We got, we're going E minor. And now this time we're gonna go quicker, not just dum 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 dum. We're gonna go bum ba da dum. So bum da da dum, and then 4/2 open open. And it's the second and third notes that are really quick together. And then we go to the 9/7 open open. It's kind of just 1 2 3 4. Now in this 9/7 open open, we're gonna go 1 2 3 4 instead of that fancier fast thing. 1 2 3 4, and then we're gonna go 7 to open on the little string, pull off, open on the second string, and then 10 12 10 on the little string, 12 on the second string. And then 10 12 10 12. F sharp chord comes in. So we have 9 to 10 to 9 to 7, and then 7 9 7 6. Then we're going to go to the second string, 8 7 7 7 8 7. So those are like triplets, like 3 and 4 and we end with 9 to 7 7, and then 6 9 8. So this last one is. Okay, Hotel California, unplugged version, intro, solo. Do a quick review. Okay, in the second half. All right, this is my second lesson for Hotel California Unplugged version by the Eagles. We're going to start with the basic stuff on this one. We have a B minor chord. This is 9 with 7s, or you could do 4 4 3 2. And it's basically just 4 beats of that. You could go to this F sharp here, 4 3 2 2. But when you're over here, you could also go to this one, 8 9 7 9, to get that F sharp. Okay, so we have two versions. We have B minor here, F sharp, and if we continue with that, we'd go to A, to E, and then we'll go G, D, then E minor this time, F sharp. Okay, so that's the main progression there. So B minor, F sharp, A to E, major, G to D, and E minor, back to F sharp. Now if we come back up here, we have our B minor, then we can go to that 8 9 7 9 for F sharp. Here we can hit an A, 7 6 5 5. And we have E could be 6 4 5 4. And these are all like, we're going to get into different kind of strums and picking and stuff, but 4 beats each for each of these. And here we can go to a G, 5 4 3 3. And then a D is a 4 2 3 2 here. And then E minor to F sharp. And if you wanted to end with a high one, this would be an E minor up here, 9 9 8 7. And then you could do a F sharp 7 we did before, 8, 9, 7, 9. Okay, so that's our basic progression. B minor, F sharp, A to E, G to D, E minor to F sharp. And up here it's B minor, F sharp 7, A to E, and this is an E with a different bass. That's a G sharp bass. So technically that would be E/G sharp. And then G to D with the F sharp. And then you can go E minor up here, F sharp 7 for that last chord. Okay, now there's some picking things we can do. We can go. You can kind of do that with each chord. So what I did is I went first one. See, I went 2 strings down, it came back one. And then just hit that high one after that. So as a basic thing, then flip your chord. You could also kind of strum it like. Okay, so it's like down, down, up, 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 down, down. So 3, 4. And then flip to your F sharp 7, 3, 4. And go to this A, 3, 4. And then this E here, 3, 4. And then G, 3, 4. The D. We'll go up high to this E minor, 3, 4. To the F sharp 7. Now here's a Joe Walsh solo from this unplugged version. It's going to go. Okay, so great little solo, kind of simple. We're going to start with the 3 on the second string, and then open to 2 on the first string, and then open, and then. So that second string, 3, 5, 3, hammer on, pull off to the 2. So once again, we got the 3, open to 2 to open, hammer on, pull off to the 2, and then start on that one, and then 3 to 5, down to open. Kind of a slide down, hit the open again, 2 to 3, to the 2 on the third string there. And we're going to hit that second fret again, so we had 2, 2 again, 5 to 7, quick slide on the second string, to the 3 there, and then 5, little 2, 3, and then that's 2, 3, 2, 0, 2. Okay, so whole solo again, we got 3, 4. So we have some fills that come in here. We have the 9 and the 7, the top 2. We have the 6 and 5 on the third and second strings. They go twice, hammer into the 7s, and then we go 8, 6. Okay, so it's 9, 7. And then we go 7, 6. Now 3 and 4 to 6 and 5. And then the lower is 6, 4. And then 5, 4. And then 2s. 2s to 4, 3, 4, 2 up here. You do a little fill there, and then here's a cool ending. So this is big 2 with little opens, and then 3rd to 2nd string, and then 4 2 open open, 5 4 open open, and then 5 and 4. So it's, and then we go F sharp chord. Okay, so dum da dum dum da dum, and then we're gonna go into the chorus. So 4 3 4 6 7. So big 4, and then 3rd string 3 4 6 7, and that starts your chorus, which is a G chord, and then goes to D, and then you go. So that's these 7s, and then 9 7 8, and then back, and then take those 2, slide them up 2, and then back like that. So. And then we're F sharp. Then we have a little fill here. Open on the 2nd string, 2, 3, O, 2, 3 there. There's a G, and then we have. So we have a little fill, 10 to 9. Go down to the 8 7. Down to the 7 5s. Little sliding double stops there. Then we have E minor, F sharp. So I'm going to have another one coming up soon. We're going to get into some Joe Walsh and Don Felder solos on the next one, like. So we're going to start with an E chord, 2 1 open open, and we're going to have a 1 and 4. So you can kind of have a 1 2. You can kind of hit a chick on the 2, and then do a upstroke on the 2 and. So it's like 1 chick and 4. So we let the 3 go by without doing anything. So we're like 1 2 and 4, 1 2 and 4. See that? So that's how that gets going, and that's basically all of what's happening in the tune. There's a couple little things that change slightly, but not too much. So we're going to have E chord twice. We're going to go. And then we're going to go to a B chord. And that's those 4s up here. 4 4 4. So let's try those 2 together. 2 3 4. And you know when we do that chick, you just want to have one of your fingers touching all the strings so that you don't hear any notes. So you can't really stick to your chord shape anymore. You got to kind of get away from that real quick. Or you could simplify it and just go 1 2 and kind of wait for the and. So think about 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. See that? 3 4 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? Or you can go. Okay, so that's our strum. So we're going to have E twice and then B twice. You could probably do B7 if you want, if you have trouble with that one. But the regular B is like 4 4 4 and 2. I'll do the one finger one a lot of times, just try to get those 3 strings, you know. So we have E twice, B twice, then we're going to have A to B, E twice. Okay, so it's E twice, B twice, A once, B once, E twice. Let's try all that. 2 3 4, E. Going to B. A to B. E twice. now we're in the verse. We're going to go E twice. So that was F sharp minor, 4, 2, 2, 2 to the B, and we did that twice. So A to B, E twice. Okay, now the second part of the verse is going to start out the same, 2 E's, and then our F sharp minor to B twice. So here we go, 3, 4. A to B, E. Now we have a new one. So this is 6, 6, 4, 4. We're going to do that twice, just 2 regular strums to the 6, 5, 4, 4. So it's a G sharp sus to a G sharp major. Okay, so that second half of the verse is E twice, F sharp minor B, A to B, E once, and then this new 4th fret sus thing. And now we're going to go to C sharp minor, 6, 6, 5, 4. And that's a F sharp major, 4, 3, 2, 2. So we have the C sharp minor, same strums. We're going to do these chords back and forth 3 times. So here we go, 2, 3, and. Now we're going to make this F sharp a minor, and then B7. Okay, so it was C sharp minor to F sharp 3 times, and then we make this a minor, and then B7. And then E, 2, 3, 4. So we hold for 2 bars there. And so it's like the beginning of a verse, but nothing's happening except the vocal getting it going, and then we come in on that F sharp minor B twice. And then we resume with that verse, A to B, E twice. Now in the tab, I'm going to have a star here. That's going to lead us back to the second part of the verse. We're going to go all the way through those same changes with the sus and everything, the chorus. So let's go through that once again. So 2, 3, and E twice, F sharp minor B, A, B, E once, and that sus thing, C sharp minor, three times, go minor here, B7. Okay, then after that B7, we're going to move on to 2 more E's. B. It's like the intro. A to B. E once. But now we're going to have a walk down of chords. So A major, 7, 6, 5, 5. G sharp minor, 6, 4, 4, 4. F sharp minor, 4 with 2s, and E. So 1 beat each. Now we're into kind of a bridge. B7, twice, E, B7 again, C sharp minor. Then we go B to the F sharp 7, which is 2, 3, 2, 2. So that was C sharp minor, B, F sharp 7, 2 beats each. Now we're A minor 7, which looks like a C. C to the D, G. Okay, so we had some new stuff here. So we had the C sharp minor, B, F sharp 7, A minor 7, and C to the D, 2 beats each, and then G for 2 bars. Now we're going A minor 7 to D. Now C for a full bar, D, G for 2, and then we kind of start again with 2 more G's. A minor, D, C, D, G, B7. Okay, then we get into the only part that kind of gets away from that strum, because we just wait for the first beat, like 1, and then we hit our chord. Our chord is E minor 7, 2, 0, 3, 0. So we go rest on the 1, and then hit that and let it ring, and then we go to A, kind of our same strum, and then rest, rest, A minor 7, B7. Okay, so that was E minor 7 to A 3 times, and on the E minor 7 we always rest on the first beat. So 1, 3, 4, A, rest, rest, A minor 7, which looks like a C, like I said, B7. Okay, now we're back to an E major. G sharp minor, 6 with 4s. A is that 7, 6, 5, 5. Back to B7. We'll do that one again. So E, 3, 4. G sharp minor, A, B7, E again, G sharp minor, A. Now here we can go A minor, E, E, and then we get into a C sharp minor. And at this point it's just E twice and C sharp minor twice. So let's try that. 2, 3, 4. Okay, I wanted to throw you one more thing. When we get into that kind of a suspended and into that C sharp minor the first time, there's a cool riff that happens, right? Your E is like, so it's 2, 1, open, open, the E, and then you put a 4 in the bass, and then you come up here to the 6, 6, 4, 4, and then jump to that other chord, the 6, 5, 4, 4. So that's a little extra bonus there. Thanks a lot for watching. New kid in town, the Eagles. I got some tabs for this. Hope you dug it. Talk to y'all soon.